Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. Now, as you know, I'm still going through Vegas money. These are still singles from Vegas. I went to a bunch of different casinos and I got myself I got myself thousands of dollars in singles, one strap at a time from each place. Now, this week's tip though is I treat casinos as banks, and I do that in Vegas. I do that when I travel until proven otherwise. And yes, I've been proven otherwise. I've been proven wrong on numerous occasions, but that doesn't detract me from trying new places. What I mean is, I have no problem going to the bank, giving them a $100 bill, and saying, "Can I get a strap of singles?" And if that's so easy to do at virtually any bank, then why can't I do it at a casino? So I do. When I go to casinos, any casino I go to, I always try to get a strap of singles. Now, there have been times, like I said, I'm only asking for one strap of singles. I let the teller believe whatever they want to believe. I'm not going to try to convince them of anything. But there have been a number of times I can think of the Bellagio and the Wynn, both of those casinos, for instance. They if you catch them at the right time, not when they're not busy, they pride themselves on customer service. So what I did is I went to the cage at both places at off hours, so it wasn't busy. If you can imagine Vegas not being busy. And I told them straight out, I'm a YouTuber and I collect old money. I collect singles. And I was wondering if I could buy a bunch of singles. And both the Bellagio and the Wynn, when I asked, allowed me to buy 500 singles from them each. Now, that's not this. This was all on a separate trip a year or two ago. But because I treat them like banks, I knew that a higher end place like that, if you asked right and if you don't go in there looking like a bum and you've got your story straight and everything else, they will help you out. And I was pleasantly surprised. So that's my tip for this week. A little bit of niceness goes a long way. Treating casinos like banks, you'd be surprised how well that works out. Anyway, here's my 1,000 in singles. Let's get these out of the way. Oh, I should do the rundown. These particular bills came from the Orleans, the Gold Coast, Virgin, which used to be the Hard Rock, Silverton, South Point, Palace Station, Westgate, which used to be the Vegas Hilton, Samstown, the Rio, and the Oyo, which used to be the Hooters, which I don't remember what it was before the Hooters, but that's just east of Tropicana on Tropicana. That's where that one is. So those are the different casinos that I got these notes from. These are all the outskirts, not on the strip, all stuff off the strip and not downtown. That's what I use to determine this particular grouping. So what did I find? Well, starting off with Where's George? I know I'm not familiar with this particular Where's George because this particular one came from the Oyo, the former Hooters on Tropicana. So that is where this one came from. I will be logging this as soon as I'm done with my videos. And what do we got? I've got a birthday note. This birthday note is from it's from 2009, but the birthday on it would be May 26th, 1955. What do we got here? Trinary. 2s, 3s, and 8s on this one. 0s, 4s, and 7s on this note. That one's in really good shape too. This trinary is 5s, 6s, and 8s. 0s, 3s, and 6s here. 0s, 4s, and 8s. And this one is quad 6s. This one is quad 8s, and you can see how the numbers are going upward. So yeah, that's another gas pump error. No big deal on that, but just wanted to point it out. Quad 9s on this one, really crisp. And some stars. 2017 star, nice and crisp. Another star note, 2017, really nice condition. 2017, this one's seen a little bit of use. Another 2013B, so that'll be checked on the list to see if that is one of the duplicates. Let's see, 2013. Older notes. Now, this one is interesting. This is a 1999, and the print is so dark on this. You can see right here. It's just a really dark green on there. So that was kind of interesting. I always save anything 2001 and older. This one's 1995. Pretty rough shape on that one. 1995 on this one as well. That's also seen better days. Not a web note. Neither was the other one. And the oldest note in the group, this one is from 1977, and this note is in excellent shape. Really good shape on this particular note. So where did this one come from? This one came from a Virgin Casino, formerly the Hard Rock. They just reopened, so I was glad that my my trip all the way out there in the middle of nowhere got me something. That got me this 1977. And you guys can see I do have something in a holder back here. This came from the Orleans. And this note is brand new. It shows very, very little circulation, if any. And because of that, because of the lack of circulation, I looked and I saw this on there. And as much as I want to call that dirt, that's not. That is an ink smear. That ink smear I know is an ink smear because this note shows no signs of circulation. So with no sign of circulation on this particular note, how would it have gotten dirty? And, well, it wouldn't. That's how I know that's an ink smear. Now, if I was to see this on a note that was all ratty, well, then I'd just assume it was dirt. But because of the condition of this note is so good, I find it hard to believe that this is anything other than an actual ink smear. And I don't come across errors too often. I'm always watching for them. I just never see them. But that's an example there of how you can tell that it's a legitimate error because of the condition of the note. And that was pretty interesting. This one came from the Orleans, and I got this in a case right away, and I'm pretty proud to have found that in circulation. So that's what I've got this week. What did I bring out? Well, I brought out something that came in the mail while I was in Vegas, so I'm still counting it as Vegas money, even though I didn't buy it in Vegas. It is the largest denomination ever printed. And it was funny because I was asking about this at the show that I was there, just to see if anybody had it and to see what they'd say. So what is the largest denomination of currency ever produced anywhere? Not just USA, anywhere. Did you say it was the 1946 Hungary note? No? This one I got, and it's graded. It's graded 63 EPQ, choice uncirculated. I saw this graded, and I decided I was going to get it. I got this from halfway around the world. I believe the seller was in Lebanon. But I picked this note up, and I felt good because it had PMG on there. Take a quick peek at the back. It is really good, exceptional paper quality. It got a 63. It would have got a 65 or more, but you can see the border here, how thin the border is, how thick the border is, even on the bottom, the border here. Seeing a 63 is pretty impressive. You'd figure with both borders like that, they'd have dropped it to a 62 or 61. But PMG called it a 63. Now, what is so special about this note? Nowhere on this note are there any numbers. So what's its value? Once again, we'll take a quick peek at the back. There are no numbers on this note. So if you don't know what it is, you'd never know what it is. But it is a SAS Million Billion Pengo. Okay, so what does that mean? This refers to hundreds, so 100 million, but the B on this particular series represents billions. Okay, now I know I showed you a $1 trillion bill, and when I talked about this note at the show that I was at, the dealers said, that's not the largest note, that's only billions. There's the Zimbabwe note's 100 trillion. I said, okay, this is 100 million billion. 100 million billion. Now let that sink in. And since 100 million billion doesn't even sound like a real number, we're going to go the next best way I can to explain this one. I got my page here and a marker. All right, 100 million billion. Let's start off by this. Let's go 1, and we'll put a comma in there, and then we're going to go 0, 0, 0. If you look at this number, that is 1,000, okay? 3 zeros represents 1,000. The number on this side represents how many thousands. So if you have a 1 there, you have 1,000, okay? If I had a 51 here, how many thousands do I have? I have 51 thousands. That is how that works. I'm sure most of you never even thought of numbers that way, but that's how it actually goes. So now if I was to put in a couple more zeros, now with 6 zeros, this is how many millions I have, which would be 1 million. If I put a 3 here, now I would have 31 millions. Okay? Well, let's go one more time. 0, 0, 0. Now with 9 zeros, this represents billions. So here, how many billions? I have 1 billion. If I put an 8 here, now I have 81 billion. Okay? Well, they didn't have large numbers like that, like we're used to seeing back then, because there was just no real need for large numbers like that. So what they did is they put the B on the note to represent billions. B Pengo. Okay, Pengo is what they called the money, so a billion Pengo. So you could have a 1 Pengo, or 1B Pengo, which would be 1 billion. Well, you could also have 1,000 Pengos, 1,000 billion. Okay, well that's probably going too far too fast. If I put the 1 here, that would be 1 billion. If I put a 10 here, that would be 10 billion. If I put 100 here, that would be 100 billion. And so far, we agree with this. That is 100 billion. So let's go to the next step. The next step would be 1,000 billion. And then the next step would be 10,000 billion. And the next step would be 100,000 billion. And then we'd be going 1 million billion. And then we're going to go 10 million billion. And of course, I did this in a way that I can't possibly put in all the numbers. So let's knock that off. And we'll put these back over here. Okay. So now there's our billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, 1,000 billion, 10,000 billion, 100,000 billion, 1 million billion, 10 million billion, and finally 100 million billion. That is that note. That's what that note represents. I can't even get it all in the picture there. Jeez. 100 million billion. Now, what do we call this number? Well, thousands. It's thousands, millions, billions, trillions, quadrillion. This would be 100 quadrillion. 100 quadrillion dollars. Yeah, that's a lot. But with all those zeros, that is why this note does not have all those zeros. It simply has 100 million billion, which when you see written out is definitely much bigger than 1 trillion. 1 trillion would be, let's see, there, that's a billion, so then we'd have to go 1 trillion. So yeah, the trillion spot would be somewhere around here. Anyway, that is the largest denomination note you are going to find, the 1946 Hungary National Bank $100 million billion bill. Mine is EPQ 63, graded by PMG, so I know I got the real deal. Makes me feel good to finally have the largest note value-wise ever printed, and I'm glad I've got it. Guys, if you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. I love reading your comments. I will talk to you again next week.